What is an LLC good for? Hello, I'm attorney Thomas Burton, and that's today's question. I'm an estate planning and business law attorney here in Wisconsin, and this question is a great example of understanding how an LLC can work for you. So the primary reason that comes to mind for me for forming an LLC is that it provides a separation of the business assets and liabilities from your personal assets and liabilities. And this is important to understand. Let's start at the beginning. An LLC stands for a limited liability company, an entity formed at the state level, similar to a corporation, but with less ongoing governance and corporate formalities than a C corporation. For example, with a C corporation, after you form it, you need to hold shareholder meetings, issue stock, adopt corporate bylaws, appoint a corporate board of directors, things like that. An LLC has much less ongoing corporate governance requirements, but it provides the limited liability protection of the C corporation. So if you think of famous corporations throughout American history, Ford, Walmart, Amazon, they are examples of C corporations. And in U.S. corporate law, we have this idea that you can set up a corporate entity and make it separate from the owner. So when Sam Walton set up Walmart, Walmart has its separate corporate existence. It's a fictional entity. But when Walmart is sued, Sam Walton, who is dead now, but the original founder, was not being sued personally. The corporation's assets were being sued. And you can imagine Walmart, a large business with trucks on the road, delivering goods, employees, slip and fall. There's a lot of liability involved in operating a business like that. And we have said here in America that you should have the ability to separate the business's assets and liabilities from your personal assets, because we want to encourage risk takers to take risks and build new businesses and be able to still have a personal asset and not, for example, go bankrupt if the business has a terrible thing happen. So the primary reason, in my mind, to use an LLC is to get the advantage of that limited liability protection of a separate corporate entity. Because if you don't use any type of corporate entity, you can operate business legally in Wisconsin, and that's what we call a sole proprietorship. And people have done that throughout history, through the ages. But the downside of a sole proprietorship is you have unlimited personal liability for the assets, errors, or omissions of the business. So if something happens at your business, even if it wasn't something you intended, and you get sued, a lawsuit, you can put your personal assets at risk, such as your family, home, cars, and other things. And that's why a lot of entrepreneurs, when they think ahead, they form an entity before starting their new venture. And for small businesses, the LLC in recent decades has quickly become the most popular entity formed in Wisconsin. When you look at the annual filing records every year, the LLC wins hands down. Now, I think that's because it's relatively easy to form, relatively inexpensive. It's $130 to file online or $170 to file by paper. And it has less of those ongoing corporate formalities that trip up a lot of people. If you're planning to set up a company that you plan to be like a Walmart or Amazon, then you may want to be a C corporation from the get-go, because you might be planning to issue shares and get money from investors. But for a lot of small businesses who plan to remain family-owned, this is not on their radar and not a primary reason. So again, the primary reason to set up an LLC is to take advantage of that limited liability protection that a corporate structure can provide. So that's what an LLC is good for. Great question, and thank you for asking. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.